Okay, Phoebe, 45 is what you scored the last time I marked paper 2, so let's see if you managed to improve upon that. Perfect start. Area of the floor of a classroom, you wouldn't use centimetres. If I asked you to measure the length of a wall, you'd tell me what it was in metres. You wouldn't be telling me how big it was in centimetres. So that one's not right, but the other three are good to go. B, F, A, H. B is right, F is right. A isn't, that's a pentagon. The hexagon, the six-sided one, is C. And H is a rectangle? Really? That's one that you should have been asking yourself, really? Is that right? G is the rectangle. So 2 marks there, 5, 10 for the page. That's a good bit of symmetry. 99, 20, 52 and 51. That's great. Full marks. 11 marks for that page. That's good. That's good. 38, 10 a.m. delivery. Excellent. So we've got 7 marks there. An actual height of the car, 7 foot. I really don't think so. I don't know what your family car is like, but certainly mine is, if I stand next to it, shorter than me. So it's not going to be 7 foot. That's not a good estimate. Then you're saying 1 centimetre is 10 foot, which, okay, I can accept based on what you're saying there. So again, for what you've done, that's correct, but it's just that your original estimate is bonkers. But you do get the method for what you've done with your estimate. So 10 for the page. 3, 6, 7, 5 is good. 29 and 5 is good. This says in words. That's not a word, Phoebe. So you're not going to get that, even though it's correct. And this is wrong. It isn't add itself minus itself. It's just being halved each time. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So that's what it's looking for, is that the previous number is being divided by 2. 7 marks for that page. Now then, what have we done here? No, so none of those are right. Let me just explain how this works. They're telling you that the 3 rectangles, so that's 1 rectangle, okay, they're all the same size. It's 12 across and 4 up. And it's on an axis, so that point there is 0, 0. So this point here would be 12, because that width is 12. Now that is 4 there, because it's the shorter side of the rectangle, so that there must be 16. Similarly, going this way, that's a shorter side of the rectangle, so that must be 4. That's 2 short sides put on top of each other, so that must be 8. This one is 4 to there, and then a long side which is 12. 4 and 12 is 16. So those are the numbers on the axes. The coordinates of A, coordinates always go x coordinate, y coordinate. So to get to A, I got to go across 12, up 4. To get to B, I've got to go across none, up 8. And to get to C, I've got to go across 16, up 16. So that's how you work that one out. That is good. There's 2 marks for that. It might be worth you putting in the differences to show that it's going less 2, less 4, less 6, less 8, less 10. But no problem, you got the marks. That is correct as well. So that's there. Now this, you have almost correctly subbed that in, right? Apart from it's a negative 2. But 3 times negative 1 is not negative 8. So you've got 2 mistakes there. Can't give you any marks for it. It is out of 50, but if you read the question carefully, it says how many had at least 10 visitors. What you've answered there is how many patients had 3 visitors. Because 18 patients had 3. If it's at least, then you have to include these 2 as well, because if they had 4 or 5 visitors, that also is included in at least. So you should have had 21 out of 50 there. And this is a really common mistake. This is halfway through the exam paper, so they're not going to ask you a question as easy as add up the number of visitors. Okay, so immediately you should be thinking, hang on a minute, that's too easy. And it is. Look at the table. Look at this column, for example. This column is telling me that there are 14 patients who each had 2 visitors. So in total, there are 28 visitors in that column alone. This column saying there are 12 patients who each had 1 visitor. So that's 28 and 12. And then here I got 18 patients who had 3 visitors. So it's 18 lots of 3. And that's what you have to add up. Total for the page 4. That is correct, that is correct, that is good. No, you have to be more accurate with this than saying, oh, it's between such and such. What you have to do is you should know, even just with the work that you've been doing with me, that there are 360 degrees in that complete circle. And what you need to do is to find out if there are 120 cars, how many degrees each car gets. So you do 360 divided by 120, which is 3 degrees. So each of those cars gets each of those cars gets 3 degrees of that circle. But 42 cars are in the service. So 42 times 3 will give you 126 degrees, the size of the slice for the service. Then you do 27 times 3 to get the size of the slice for brakes, 35 times 3 for bodywork, and 16 times 3 for other. If you show all of those workings out, you're going to get 3 marks out of the 4. The 4th mark, only 1 mark, is for actually drawing the pie chart. But I can't give you any marks for that. I can give you the 4 marks over there, so 4 marks for the page. Now, 3.5 kilometers is wrong, but it's not far off being right. There are 3 marks for this part of the question, and you haven't shown me any workings out. Now, if you had shown me that you had measured that as 7 centimeters and written 7 centimeters divided by 2, because there are 2 centimeters to 1 kilometer equals 3.5 kilometers, I'd have given you 2 marks. Your measuring is inaccurate, but your method, dividing your measurement by 2, will be right. You haven't done that, I can't give you any marks. Your point C is in the wrong place, but it's the right distance. So you've correctly got 8 centimeters. So your distance is right, but your angle is wrong. Now your angle for bearings, you put the center of the protractor at A, because this is saying from A. 0 is always up north, like that, and we measure clockwise. So 146 degrees is going around to there. So you're going to join up from there through that point out there, and 8 centimeters is going to look strange because I've shrunk the size of the page, but it's in fact just above the little degree sign there. Okay, 2380 is correct. Now, the first mistake you've made is your units. That is 11.25 pence. So the advice I always give you is always work in pounds, because all of these figures over here are in pounds. So you need to change that. Now if you were to write 11 pence in pounds, it would be 0.11. So 11.25 pence would be 0.1125. You multiply that by 2380 and then you'll get the right value in pounds. You then added 26.77, which is your calculation, plus £27.14 to get £53.91. You've then worked out what 5% of that is, and you've added, right, so then the next mistake you've made is that this value is what you get when you add those two together. They are the total charges. Now here you've got the £53.91, but you're adding these two in again. You're adding those in again, so you're doubling that. So your total is wrong. Then you have to take off this because it's a credit, it's already been paid, and then you have to take off each of these beneath, because again those are credits. So there's a lot of single mistakes in there that have made it very difficult to give you more than one mark for working correctly with the percentages and finding the units used. So 2 marks for that page. These are called utility bills, and it's well worth you practicing those. We could do them in class, but you really need to be able to concentrate quietly to do that, and classroom is probably not as good a place as you doing that at home, watching the videos of utility bills on the website and then having a go at them yourself. 0.13 is correct. Blue and yellow is correct, so 3 marks for that. For this, you haven't answered the question. It's asking you what the probability is of getting either a green or a blue, which means you take that probability and add it to that probability to give you the combined probability of getting those. So no marks for that. Now, why have you suddenly tried to do this without using a calculator? All you need to do here is find out, just like you were finding out a percentage earlier, 12% of this by doing 0.12 times 132 on your calculator, and then adding that on to the 132. I mean, you're not far off, but you're doing it by estimating. And similarly with this, you do that all in one go on your calculator. None of this over here. Okay, you do it all in one go. So I'll just show you now. Use the fraction button there and type in the top exactly as it is in the question. 4.5 times 3.4 on top, and 7.8 take 5.9 on the bottom. Press equals, and it comes out to be that. You need to round that off to 1 decimal place. That would be 8.0, but the next digit over is 5 or more, so it rounds up to 8.1. So 8.1 is what you're looking for there. So total for that page is 4. And the final page, no, that's not what you have to do there. This is a topic known as products of prime. I might have called it products of primes, I might have called it products of prime numbers, I might have called it products of prime factors. I can't remember, but it's a nice easy thing to learn how to do. take a look at the video clip on the topics page and then have a go at them. You'll quickly be able to pick up those 4 marks easily. This is called trial and improvement. Something we'll certainly be looking at when we're focusing on the higher tier. But again, if you have a look at the video clip there, so long as you've got a scientific calculator and you watch how I do it, you can easily pick up marks on things like that. And this is a complicated one where you need to be able to solve Pythagoras, area of triangle and volume of a prism. Watch how I've done it on the video clip, see how much progress you can make. Okay Phoebe, so on that paper you have scored 10, 21, 31, 38, 42, 46, 48, 52. 52 out of 100 is just below a grade D. You're 3 marks off a grade D, which I know you're going to be disappointed with, but you got 45 last time, so that is an improvement again on the last homework that I marked for you. So we're moving in the right direction. There's definitely more marks left in there that you can do now just by reading the question a bit more carefully, and a few things that you can pick up by a bit of revision on the topics on the website.